For our second set of special products, we want to talk about these things called perfect squares. They will take the form of something like 4x minus 3 quantity squared. Now earlier we learned that power to a power concept. Unfortunately, power to a power only works when you have multiplication inside there, so it only works with monomials. This is a binomial. And so you have to write this thing twice. You have to say this is 4x minus 3 times 4x minus 3. Same set of terms written twice. Now as we FOIL this, our first with first will produce 16x squared. Our outer product would be negative 12x, as well as the inner product. The inner product would be a negative 12x. So a negative 12x with another negative 12x is going to double my middle term. I'll get a minus 24x. And then the last with last would be plus 9. This will be well behaved because it gives me those three terms that I'm expecting. In the previous lesson, set of videos, I was talking about a difference of squares where the middle term kept dropping out. With a perfect square, your middle term actually gets doubled. It's going to be the same value twice, and so you always have that middle term. Perfect squares will lead to three terms. Those three terms will produce a square term to begin with, double the product for any set of parentheses, and then a square term on the end. And I'll explain this in further detail here in a minute. Example 2. If I said I had 5y minus 2 squared. I recognize that I cannot do power with a power because there's addition or subtraction in there. So I write it twice. And I go back to what I keep saying. You could always go back and do a double distribution, especially during a test. You want to make sure you get these things right. As you become more proficient, you can actually get quicker. And I'll show you what I'm saying here as I finish the second example. First with first and FOIL is going to be 25y squared. Outer with outer is negative 10y. Inner with inner is negative 10y. So that produces a negative 20y. And then last with last would be plus 4. I know that the first and the last terms are positive square values, and the middle is nothing more than this product doubled. So when I move to my third example here, what I want to show is maybe a faster way of doing this without writing all that. So if I had 7y plus 3 quantity squared, I can look at this and say, okay, let's square the first term. So 7y times 7y would be 49y squared. And then I can look at what's inside here. Say 7y times 3 is 21. I have to double that 21. That 2 is kind of hinting at that. Double the 21 would be plus 42y. And then square the last term, which would be plus 9. Example 4. Throw a negative in there. 5m minus 9 quantity squared. So I square the first term. 5m times 5m is 25m squared. I look at this product. 5 times negative 9 is negative 45m, and I want to double it. So you owe me 45, you owe me 45, you owe me 90m. And then you square the last term. Negative 9 times negative 9 is positive 81. We'll do another example. Example 5. We'll put variables on both sides this time. So we'll say something like 2x minus 11y quantity squared. So I square the first term. 2x times 2x would be 4x squared. I look at this product. 2 times negative 11 would be negative 22xy. I double it, so you owe me 22, you owe me 22, you owe me 44xy. And then I square this last part. Again, a proponent for knowing your squares. Negative 11 times negative 11 would be positive 121y squared. And that's what we call a perfect square. That's how you expand your perfect squares. If you recognize those techniques, great, that can speed you up. If you don't, you at least have to recognize that the square is telling you to write it twice, and then from there you have options. You can either do the FOIL technique that we just recently learned, or you could do the double distribution that I taught you previously. As long as you're ending up with those 3 terms, you should be in good shape. Now, I don't care if you use the longer technique or if you understand this and you pick that concept up and you're able to just whip through and give me an answer. I'm okay with that. That would be the last of our examples for special products.